Finding Nemo, the ghost-like fish.
I can't say this is a new story. This is about Nemo and the ghost-like fish. Okay, here's the story. Have a great day, Nemo. Marlin the clownfish said as he hugged his son goodbye. He and Dory, a regal blue tankfish, were dropping Nemo off the school. I will, Dad, said Nemo, just as soon as you let go. Marlin realized he was still hugging his son. All right, he said with a chuckle, letting Nemo go. Bye, Dad. Bye, Dory. Nemo called as he swam off to join his classmates and the teacher, Mr. Ray. Nemo loved school, and so did his friends. Ted, the long-nosed butterfly fish, Pearl the octopus, and Sheldon the seahorse. How could they not when Mr. Ray made everything so much fun? Mr. Ray took his students exploring all over the reef. Every day, Nemo and his classmates got an up-close look at the different kinds of sea life. That day, Mr. Ray was taking them to a clearing on the ocean floor. Okay, explorers, Mr. Ray said when the class arrived. Now it's time to do a little searching on your own. Let's see if each of you can find a shell. Then we will identify them together. The students fanned out. Nemo searched in the shadows of some coral. Pearl peeked into a bit of algae. Sheldon dug in the sand. Ted was the first of Nemo's friends to find something. Hey guys, he cried, look at this. Nemo, Pearl, and Sheldon swam over to their friend. They stared in wonder at the gleaming white shell Ted held in his fins. Cool, said Sheldon. It's so pretty, said Pearl. Where did you find it? Ted pointed to the cave. In there, he said. Hey, maybe there are more, he added, suddenly daring inside. Yeah, maybe, said Pearl, following him. I want to find one too. Me too, cried Sheldon, taking off after the pair. Then he paused when turned to Nemo. Are you coming? He said. Nah, you guys go along. Nemo said he wanted to find a shell that was different from everyone else. Only a few minutes passed before Nemo heard an odd noise. He looked up and saw Sheldon, Ted, and Pearl boarding out of the cave at full speed. What's the matter? Nemo asked. Is it barracuda? An eel? Sheldon shook his head. His eyes were big. His tail were quivering in fear. No, worse, he said. It's a goldfish. No way, Nemo replied. Then he noticed Ted's fin was empty. Where is the shell? He asked. Oh shucks, Ted sighed. I was going to give it to my mom. Bet I drop it in the cave, but I'm not going back in there. Not with the ghost fish on the loose. Don't worry, Nemo told Ted. I will find your shell for you. Nemo swam bravely into the cave. See, he said to himself, nothing to be afraid of here. But just then, Nemo froze. On the cave wall next to him was a huge fish-shaped shadow. Nemo took a deep breath. Excuse me, Mr. Ghostfish, or it is Miss Ghostfish, he called. A goldfish? A tiny voice said nervously. Where? Don't let it get me. The ghostfish didn't sound very scary, thought Nemo. Nemo swam closer to the shadow. There, cowering behind a rock, was a little fish, glowing softly. The ghostfish wasn't a ghostfish at all. It was just a little glowing in the dark fish who had shined on the piece of coral and made the spooky shadow. Oh hi, Nemo called. He wasn't afraid anymore, but the little glowing fish was. It darted behind another rock. Then, timidly, it peeked out. Don't be afraid, Nemo said. I'm just a little fish like you. My name is Nemo. What's yours? Nemo asked the little fish. Eddie, he casually replied. You mean there's no ghost fish? Nemo chuckled. I thought you were the ghost fish, he said. Then he explained the whole story. By the way, said Nemo, how do you glow like this? Eddie shrugged. I just do, he said. My whole family does. Nemo thought of someone who would know more about Eddie's glow, Mr. Ray. Would you like to come out and meet my teacher and my friends? Nemo asked Eddie. Okay, said the little fish. And so they swam out of the cave together, laughing at the funny way they were made. Outside, Nemo rejoined his class. Sorry I didn't find your shell, he said to Ted. But I did find your ghost fish. Then Nemo and Eddie told their story. Soon the ghost fish was forgotten. Everyone wanted to know about Eddie instead. Can you grow different colors? Pro asked Eddie. How come the water doesn't put out your light? Asked Ted. Nemo wanted to know what made Eddie glow. Luckily, Mr. Ray knew the answer to that. See this patch on Eddie's jaws? Said Mr. Ray. Inside them are teeny glowing in the dark organisms. When you see Eddie glow, you really see those organisms glowing. If you think that's cool, said Eddie, you should see the rest of my family. Eddie led the whole class into the cave to show them his glow-in-the-dark world, including his family. Nemo thought it was one of the most amazing things he would ever see. But there was still one thing on his mind. Mr. Ray, Nemo whispered to his teacher, I didn't finish the assignment. I didn't find a shell. Mr. Ray laughed. That's okay, Nemo, he replied. I would say you still got an A in exploring for today. The end. Alright, look at those tiny little glowing fish. They're very cute, right? I hope you like the story.